pleasure of 35 years in the Air Force, starting off as a navigator on Canberra and F-111 aircraft, then a range of jobs in projects, capability development, intelligence overseas as a defence attaché, and then for quite a while, about 6 to 7 years, I was the project manager for the Joint Strike Fighter project, which gave me a lot of engagement with industry, and then finished up my time in the Air Force as Chief of Capability Development Group, where I oversaw all projects within the Defence Capability Plan. I think about 3 years ago when I started the job, the New South Wales government recognised that it needed to do more to coordinate its activities in the defence sector. Most people don't realise, but there's more defence activity, defence and defence industry activity in New South Wales than any other state. There are more defence people, more defence bases and more defence industry in New South Wales than any other state. But up until then there hadn't been a strong coordination of those capabilities. So I was brought in, we developed this strategy called Strong, Smart and Connected, and then have laid out a number of initiatives since then. The aim was, as I said, was to coordinate the activities, to bring together everything that New South Wales had. And there were 3 key themes in the strategy, that defence is good for New South Wales is good for defence, and to achieve the outcomes of the Defence White Paper, we needed a true national approach. So we wanted to get away from the idea that it was just a matter of what the state could get from defence, but also what the state could do for defence. As I say, the 3 key themes were that defence is good for New South Wales, it helps grow the economy and jobs, but also New South Wales is good for defence, so the government sees its role to support the Defence Force. And recent activity, was example, was guaranteeing Navy access to Garden Island for the future. So that was an important part of it. But the other one is to achieve the outcomes, we need a truly national approach. So we look forward to working with the other states to bring all the capabilities to bear. I mean, we're in competition with other countries, not between other states. We want to do as much as we can in Australia overall. I mean, some of the recent successes, I tended to mention about sustainment being important. You know, the successful delivery of Joint Strike Fighters into Williamtown, the Romeo helicopters into Nowra, the new ships coming into to Sydney at Fleet Base East. They're all great successes. We've formed Defence New South Wales as a coordinating body within the New South Wales government to get a whole of government approach and to work with federal government, defence and industry. I think there's general agreement that we now have much better coordination and contact between all the players in it. I mean, that's our main job, is to make the connections between that. New South Wales will compete in what we see as a positive way. We see positive competition where there's a net benefit for Australia. Negative competition is if competition between states means that Australia misses out on something. So we've got to be careful to have that national approach. We will put forward cases to government if there's a good sound business case to invest in something in the state. But otherwise our focus is making sure that the full range of New South Wales capabilities are brought to bear on delivering what defence needs. In New South Wales, it is the state with the largest defence activity. There are over 80 bases or defence establishments, including all 4 operational level headquarters. I think there are around 20,000 ADF and defence civilian personnel there, over 20,000 industry people, either direct or indirect. It's got the largest number of universities, the largest economy. It's got about 30% of overall national manufacturing capability. So hence our expression strong, smart and connected, and we're working hard to make sure it is more connected. So I say the main thing is, in all our activities, it's not a matter of competing with other states, it's a matter of making sure that all the New South Wales capabilities are brought to bear on delivering defence capability overall. Overall in the defence budget and defence industry, New South Wales companies represent about 26% of the actual money spent, but virtually all the primes have at least some form of presence in New South Wales, and many of the SMEs are in New South Wales as well. But a number of them span a number of states. The other key point is it's an unusual arrangement because of the ACT is bounded by New South Wales. We have a very strong relationship with the ACT, and we just treat it as though we're all one, because people will live in the ACT and work in New South Wales and vice versa. The other thing about New South Wales, it's very much a regional story as well. Most other states have one key defence industry area, whereas New South Wales, we've got this strong presence in New South Wales, the Shoalhaven, the Hunter, the Capital Region, which includes the ACT. So it's a big part of New South Wales, but overall small part of the total budget, the total economy, because the economy is so big. Direct and indirect workers, we're talking about 30,000 or so. It's very hard work because the supply chain goes so broadly. So it's an important part of the state. Even though it's a relatively small percentage of the total gross state product, we see it's basically an incubator for advanced capabilities. So work that Defence does flows into other sectors of the economy, but also other sectors flow into Defence as well. I think it's in the order of 1.5%. Now that's on a state-wide basis, but if you look at some regions like the Hunter and the Shoalhaven, you get up to 8, 9, 10%. So in some ways I think of them as sort of mini Adelaides, where the Defence sector is a very large component of the total budget. The key feature of the Hunter is RAF Base Williamtown, home to now the Joint Strike Fighters, the current Hornet aircraft, the Wedgetail aircraft. So it's a very big base, and I think they've spent over $1 billion there recently just on infrastructure. I think at one stage it was the largest infrastructure project in New South Wales, building up the base, and that will continue to be a very, very large base, large income source for many years to come. Down at the Shoalhaven in Nowra, we have the Naval Air Arm with the new Romeo helicopters there. I think they'll be introducing the unmanned vehicles there as well for Navy. So that's again a big base. A lot of sustainment money spent there. In Sydney is one of the key regions as well, with Fleet Base East, about half the naval fleet there. Again, large investments in there, new ships coming in there. So again, major sustainment bases for the ADF overall. The big feature of New South Wales is the sustainment focus with the major bases and major platforms there. I think the annual spend in New South Wales is about $5.5 billion on sustainment. And a large part, that's Fleet Base East, RAF Williamtown, RAF Richmond, NAS Nowra, Holsworthy base, Singleton bases. So a lot of sustainment on the project side, and people often focus on the acquisition side. New South Wales, that's about $2.4 billion a year, which is half of the sustainment. But that's important as well, typically in helping to support the major platforms, your upgrades, more the complex systems to design, construction and sustainment of the complex systems. So as I said, most of the primes have some presence in New South Wales, a lot of very capable SMEs, such as Quickstep out in Bankstown doing work on the Joint Strike Fighter. We have companies such as Rockwell Collins, which has just become Collins Aerospace, again building parts of the Joint Strike Fighter. Thales out at Rydalmere, companies like Varley up in Newcastle, companies like Osius that do unmanned naval vessels have been very successful in recent activities down in Nowra. Companies like Advanced Navigation that sell to a lot of the primes around the world with their navigation equipment. I mentioned Quickstep, who are selling to the Joint Strike Fighter project. We have Safran, another international company that's set up recently in Botany in New South Wales. The other point I was at is that on the education part, a big focus for the future is having the people to support the platforms and the Defence Force overall. New South Wales is the largest education sector, and we recently formed the Defence Innovation Network with 7 New South Wales universities, which represents a big slice of all of Australia's tertiary education sector. They're all working together to support defence. If you get back to our basic strategy of strong, smart and connected, the fact is New South Wales has the strongest economy, the biggest education sector. It's got very sound infrastructure, power for example. It is truly a global city. Almost all senior international players in the defence sector or government sectors come to Sydney because that's the heart of a lot of the financial elements of the country. So it is strong, it's got all the elements there. Sustainment will be a big focus because there are so many bases and so many major platforms there. So the New South Wales government will keep working to ensure the infrastructure is there to support them, industry is there to support them. The decisions are made about, say, building the ships themselves. They won't be happening in New South Wales, but the complex systems that go inside them, a lot of the New South Wales companies are responsible for that. and they'll support those. A lot of smart SMEs help with that work as well, but also in the education sector. As I say, the people side of things is very important, and that's why the New South Wales education sector is important. For example, TAFE New South Wales, a single body now, has over 500,000 students, and that's very important to support defence in the future. And places like Western Sydney, there are going to be something like 300,000 new workers available over the next decade to support defence and other industry.